What I'm most interested in your entire story right now is like how long you've been at it. A lot of people have become solopreneurs very recently. Like today marks 1 year as a solopreneur for me personally. And a lot of people in this last year have made this the same switch. But you've been at it a lot longer than most people, like 3 or 4 years now. And so what surprises you the most about becoming a solopreneur?
I didn't consider myself a solopreneur until I quit my job as a marketing director back in January 2022. So that is when I made the conscious decision to work alone, work for myself, and be a solopreneur. However, I started freelancing back in 2011 or 2012 as a freelance editor and writer. Back then, I had experience as a magazine editor. So I freelanced at a bunch of different magazines, both writing and editing, while I was living in Portugal with my husband. At the time, he was my boyfriend. So it was the perfect way to get some income coming in so that I could, go live in Portugal and have a good time. Fast forward many years, I had full-time jobs, I had kids, my life was very busy. So I really freelanced here and there when someone would reach out to me and say like, hey, we used to work together. My friend has this company. He needs a freelancer. And that's pretty much how I got most of my freelance experience over the next 10 or so years. I never thought of myself as a solopreneur. I just thought of myself as a freelance writer for so long. And honestly, my income really showed that to be the case because I didn't treat my freelancing as a business. I always took the work serious and I always cared a lot about customer service and delivering business outcomes, but I didn't treat myself as a business owner. And so the second time that I decided to quit my job and go all in, it was totally different. I didn't do everything perfect, but it was still like leaps and bounds better than it had been 10 years prior for multiple reasons. And that's when I really started considering myself a solopreneur. So it's been a little bit more than 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
What was the turning point for you? Like, how did you decide even then, whether it was being a solopreneur, freelancing, fractional consulting? How did you decide that you wanted to do this for yourself and like take this bet on yourself?
It kind of happened organically over time. So I started creating content on LinkedIn during COVID. I think I started in like April 2020, randomly, just like lucked out. I think it was timing. I don't know. I was able to build a really big audience really fast. And before you know it, I was getting like 2, 3 inbound opportunities per week. And I had a full-time job. So the more I kept creating content and just kind of showing my personality and the things that I knew about content marketing, I was just building this business kind of naturally and organically. And when I started creating content, it wasn't with the goal of quitting my job. It was with the goal of connecting with people and just trying something different and seeing what happens. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Before I knew it, I had a pretty clear idea that if I was to quit my job, I would pretty quickly be able to replace my income as a marketing director at a tech company. I loved my work. I loved my team. It was a great place to work for the years that I was there. But it's kind of hard to turn away from the opportunity to have an unlimited income ceiling. And that's really kind of what drove me to take the leap at the beginning. I was very financially motivated.
The earning potential at a W-2 is what it is, especially as a marketer. You'll get your annual raises and
Yep.
kind of the basic stuff.
Got some promotions, but there comes a time where unless you're going to go up into that next VP level, if there is a VP level for content, you get kind of stuck.
Yeah, I remember being at a company a long time. It was like the only way that I'm ever going to get past like this level is if somebody dies or gets fired. Like these people are not leaving. Like they're good at what they're doing. They're going to be there. The odds of them adding any more depth to this org chart is pretty low. You either have to hop jobs or people see it as like go out on your own. I think that's a big draw for people. But it's harder in reality to realize that earning potential. So what was your process for acquiring those early customers?
I was lucky in the fact that LinkedIn liked me at the time. They just showed my post to a lot of people. A lot of people liked my posts, and I just got traction a lot faster than I expected, and I think a lot faster than some others do. But, things write themselves. Right now, LinkedIn hates me. It might show my post to a small selection of my audience lately, but it's fine. That's just how it goes. Sometimes you're on the top, sometimes you're down low, and you just have to kind of ride those waves. It's like that with everything in business, right? So sometimes you're high, you're feeling like a king or a queen. You're just so positive and your vibes are so high. And sometimes you're not. And I think the whole thing about business ownership is knowing how to ride the waves, get yourself back up there without just quitting and giving up. Because I think everyone hits a stage where they have some self-doubt or they have a bad month or a bad quarter. So it's just about your perseverance and your drive, just whether or not you're willing and strong enough to stick it out.